We'd like to celebrate our accomplishments, and so we'll do a brief review of some of the highlights of the last 2 years since the last time we developed the plan. We've completed, the city's completed 33 projects worth $62 million that have been invested back into the community. Largest one, of course, was the finishing of the last 2 years of the Civic Center, which turned out great. Award-winning Civic Center, it actually, as we just found out, been nominated, actually will be awarded the National Project of the Year Award for American Public Works Association. This is a nationwide contest, so that's a really neat accomplishment for the council and the city. Another highlight is Portola Park, of course, our 31st park that we just opened up. Mix of developer and city funds, large dog park, nice playground area for the kids. First public pickleball courts. I know they've been hugely successful there, and of course a large turf area with a soccer overlay on that. It's also, maybe best of all, it's got incredible views. If you've been out there at sunset, it's probably one of the best places in the city for a sunset. And that part's free, which is nice. In Cherry Park, of course, we just renovated that, so reopened it last Christmas. That also won a local American Society of Civil Engineers Award for the Outstanding ADA Project Award. This is the city's second universally accessible playground that we renovated and turned out really, really nice and really added to that neighborhood. And then one of the other projects I'd like to highlight is the traffic synchronization of El Toro Road. So that we won a competitive grant from OCTA to perform. OCTA paid for, through Measure M funds, 80% of the funds, so we like to leverage, obviously, other people's monies as often as possible. So the city contributed the 20% match and completed the project. It synchronized El Toro Road from up near Cook's Corner down to Laguna Hills through the freeway area there. At one point, it showed improvements of up to 64% reduction in the stops during certain specific peak hour times. So a great improvement, a great project there. With that, so that's the highlights of the $62 million or so the council has invested into the community over the last 2 years. We've got some ongoing projects that will be completed about this within this next year. 12 ongoing projects that aren't quite done yet, about $12 million worth of improvements. Starting with the Slurry Seal projects, we have 2 going on right now. It's under construction, going well. Glen Ranch Road is out to bid right now to resurface that roadway. We've got 3 park renovation projects under construction right now with Darren, Montberry, and Pebble Creek. Our protective permissive left turn signal modification projects, bid opens on Thursday, and then we'll be out to construction on those. The 2 Lifton projects at Bacon, Trabuco, and El Toro and Santa Margarita, both are in the right-of-way acquisition phase. We've made right-of-way offers and are moving forward with those. And we'll be out to bid next month on the neighborhood park renovations, the 3rd phase on Borrego Overlook, Regency, Rancho Serrano, Sundowner, and Vintage Parks. Next month we'll be out to bid on those. So with that comes the fun part. We're going to talk about new projects for the next 7 years that we'll be looking at. So staff is proposing 53 new projects spread over the next 7 years. It's worth about $50 million worth of investment back into the community. The council will be authorizing the first 2-year program in June for that budget, and then we'll adopt the rest of the plan at that time also. So for the proposed capital projects for the next 2 years, we're looking at 25 new projects worth about $19.5 million back into the community. I do want to note that there's traditionally a number of maintenance-related projects that have been in the CIP. This year we're going to move those into the operating budget, so you'll see a bump in the operating budget and maintenance, and a corresponding decrease in the number of projects. These are smaller maintenance-type projects that traditionally have been in the CIP. So you'll see that also. With that, and then the following 5 years after that, from 23 to 28, we have 28 more projects, about $28 million worth of investment into the community spread over those 5 years. And I would like to just point out On page 95 of your council packet, we have individual project sheets for each and every project that we're talking about. So I'm just highlighting projects now, but you can go to those sheets. You can see the funding sources. You can see the years proposed to be funded, a description, a key map of where they are in the community, and hopefully a nice, pretty picture that makes you want to approve that project. So we'll highlight now a few of the proposed projects over the next 7 years. So starting with traffic projects, a number of new projects. The first two up there are improvements on Bake Parkway, one at Baffin Bay, one at Toledo intersection. These are both funded by the Meadows development impact fees that we got from the new Meadows development. One includes allowing left turns onto Baffin Bay from Bake, but restricting the left turns out from Baffin Bay across the 6 lanes of Bake Parkway. We just feel that's a good safety improvement at this point in time. And also it includes adding a second left turns, dual lefts at Bake and Toledo. So we'll be designing that and using the developer funds for that. We also have 2 traffic signal synchronization projects, one along Portola Parkway and one along Alton Parkway to synchronize those projects. Again, those are 80% funded through Measure M or M2 through OCTA. And lastly, the city manager mentioned this, but a street name sign replacement project citywide. They're old and their time and standards have changed from the federal government to change out the street name signs throughout the community. We're going to start in the southwest portion of the city and work our way out from that. And that'll involve some sort of design process and then a replacement process for that. And then I'll give a nice little refreshment throughout the neighborhoods in the city. And then for the 5 years out of that, we'll proposing to do more of the accessible pedestrian signals upgrades, the second phase of that, the second phase of the protective permissive traffic signal upgrades, looking at synchronizing Rockfield, and some construction of the improvements at Bake and Toledo, which we'll design in the first 2 years of the CIP. And then moving on to Lifton projects. So Lifton projects are our Lake Forest traffic mitigation program. It's 100% funded from developers. So all the original Baker Ranch and up in Portola Hills, all those development projects pay into this Lifton funds, and they go directly to certain projects. And so we track those separately. And the biggest one that we're working on is Bake and Trabuco. That's a joint project with the city of Irvine. It's widening the intersection to allow dual left turns on Bake Parkway. We're also adding another through lane on Trabuco Road. We'll be relocating the Edison transmission poles, acquiring property to do that widening along the Edison, that kind of the bottom left stretch there. All doing this cooperatively with Irvine. We've made, the design is complete. We've made right-of-way offers to Edison. They've started their relocation effort to design and relocate their large transmission poles. So that's a 12 to 18-month process for Edison. So we'll stay on that and keep moving forward. And at some point in the next year, we'll be bidding that out and moving forward with that project. And then we've got several other Lifton projects also that we'll be continue to work on. Dual lefts at Bake and Geronimo, design improvements at Lake Forest and Geronimo, Rancho Parkway, dedicated right turn lane there, and doing some design work at Los Alisos and Rockfield to see what we want to, how we want to improve that intersection. And then 5 years out, we take all those projects that we just designed in the first 2 years and we build them. So that's construction at Bake and Geronimo and Lake Forest, Rockfield and Los Alisos, depending on what we choose to do there, and a potential project at Rockfield and Lake Forest. We'll be looking at design of that project also. These are all been created and developed using our traffic model. So our traffic model, when the developers came in, modeled the city, said the computer model determined where we needed improvements. And from that model, developed projects, funding from those cost estimates, and then we charge the developers to do these projects. So we're moving forward with that. And then similar is the FCPP Projects. That stands for the Foothill Circulation Phasing Plan, which was developed years ago, actually decades ago, by the county. And every time somebody pulls a building permit, adds square footage, develops more in the city, they pay a fee into this program. And so we've got 3 programs left. This program paid for a lot of Alton Parkway. That was a large beneficial project there. So again, at this project, we're looking at adding second left turn lanes at Los Alisos and Muirlands, widening at Geronimo and El Toro. We're going to realign Geronimo to line up better as it crosses El Toro and add some turn lanes there. And then adding a raised median on El Toro between Geronimo and Trabuco. So that'll improve safety and improve the aesthetics of El Toro Road. So that's a project been on the books for a long, long time. We're getting closer to that. And then in the out years, after that design is complete, right-of-way is complete, we'll be constructing it or proposing to construct it. And then moving on to our street projects. We have a number of street projects in the red or the pink. You can see every year we do a slurry seal project in the residential areas, and we do something to improve our arterial roads. So next year we'll move from Portola Hills slurry seal. We're moving next year into Foothill Ranch, and we'll be improving Geronimo and Muirlands. And then the following year we'll be improving the northwest corner of town with the slurry seal project and resurfacing part of El Toro Road. We also have ongoing projects like our ADA ramp improvements. The federal government has us on an ADA transition plan. So we're constantly upgrading our ADA ramps at the intersections to meet the federal standards. So we have a process to go through the city to do that. We usually fund that with CDBG funding. The arterial median improvements is small medians. We've got a number of places where we have traffic issues where the painted medians just don't get the driver's attention. We've had to add delineators, stick up reflectors that are 3 feet high, and they look pretty ugly. So we're going through with concrete medians on these projects to improve that. Our Safe Step Improvement Program is the STEP program is the Sidewalk Tree Enhancement Program. We're very fond of that acronym. But it's improving the sidewalks around town. And it's eliminating the trip and fall hazards that we have. So we have a large project to go through all the outstanding things on our books to clean that up. And then we have a regular process after that under our maintenance program. We have an irrigation conservation program, which is another state mandate to reduce the turf along our medians and parkways. So we have a large stretch of grass on El Toro Road. So we'll be looking to replace that with some California drought-tolerant type planting and move forward with that. And then our street parkway tree replacement program. This is another program that we're looking at. We have a number, as the city's matured, we have a number of trees that are really too large for where they're at, planted too close either to a private wall or to a sidewalk, causing damage. And so we want to go through the parkways primarily, but also in some of our slopes areas, and right-size the trees. So get the proper species for where they're at in the parkways. Choose the right ones, replace the large trees that are causing damage to private walls. We get a number of claims for walls damaged, a number of claims for trip and fall on the sidewalks, and get the right size trees in there. So it's a replacement project. We're very cognizant that, we say around staff, keep the forest in Lake Forest. So if we're taking down trees, we want to replace them. And we're not just don't want to take them out, but they're getting large and too mature for some of the areas that we're in. So that's a program to help us out with that. And then some of the outlying projects that we're proposing is, again, continuing with our street resurfacing and slurry seal projects. A good slurry seal, think of it as a regular changing of the oil. It's good preventative maintenance. It keeps our streets in great shape. They last about 7 to 10 years, so we've divided the city into 7 zones, and every year we do one, and we just move around the city. So this next, Portola Hills is under the improvements right now. That we started that 7 years ago. So this is the first time we've now done the entire city once with the slurry seal and preventative maintenance. So that's terrific. So we want to keep that program up. Again, ADA ramp improvements, we keep plugging through that with CDBG funds. The other project that we really want to start that I'm looking forward to is the bridge maintenance repairs. So we have a number of bridges in town. Caltrans actually uses their structural engineering group and does inspections for us every 2 years. And so we've got a long list of projects, nothing, I'll call it not routine maintenance, but the next step up from routine maintenance that we want to start getting on. So we'll have a design process and then a construction process to start maintaining our bridges. There's nothing dire or anything like that, but we want to take care of it now while it's cheap and easier to take care of it before we get some worse shape. So we're looking at starting a bridge maintenance repair project and then a few more little arterial median improvements here and there like we talked about from the last project to increase traffic safety. And then in terms of park projects, the big one next year, or the next 2 years in the CIP is, of course, the Arbors Mini Park. So next month we should be out to bid on the Home Depot side. This is at El Toro and Rockfield, both corners. So on the Home Depot side, we're redoing the landscaping and putting up some wrought iron fencing and making it look really nice. And then we'll also be doing on the Brew side, or the Lucille side, wrought iron fencing again around that, redoing some of the landscaping, new ADA ramps to get up to the site, and plugging utilities to get to the site, sewer, water, power. And then the hope is with that, we can activate that site and use it for activities, dining, things of that nature. So that's the big project on the park side. We've also got a number of projects in the CIP. So park playground resurfacing, that's the rubberized resurfacing at the parks. So we're going through that. We'll be doing El Toro Park and Baker Ranch Park for that. The sports park is out to bid right now to redo that resurfacing effort. We have a number of electrical repairs that need to be made at Heroes Park. We've received grant funding for that from the state, Prop 68 funding for that, so we'll propose to move forward with that. We have federal funding for the lodgepole fencing repairs at El Toro Park, and we're also proposing some park gazebo repairs. We'll start off at Pittsford Park to repair that park gazebo. And then in the out years, we're looking at another phase of park lighting, potential park lighting at Heroes Park, maybe looking into LED retrofits and some other things there. An ongoing park gazebo repair project that's more ongoing on a regular basis. We can be repairing those. And we have to look at our sports park at the sports complex, replacing the synthetic fields. It'll be about 10 years, if you can believe that, in the middle of this program. So we're planning for that. It's in good shape. We have constant repairs now, but we got a plan for that to keep that going. It gets a whole lot of use, as everyone can attest to. And then the last two parks there, Lake Forest Park and the Nature Park, those are the last two parks remaining in the city out of the 31 parks in the city that the city has not yet gone and touched. All the other parks, the city has done something to renovated it since they've been constructed. These haven't. So these would be the last two parks, and then the city has gone through the entire park system and renovated it and redone the parks to some fashion. So these will be the last two parks to get looked at, and we've gone through the system one time.